we've had debates online, on my blog versus your blog, and also just conversations about Seattle versus Bay Area startups. And so my argument is that if you want to do something big and win, you should do it in the Bay Area because that's where the best players are. And you've said, no, but Seattle's a great place for a startup because you can leave early, you can go skiing.
When?
You can go
Oh my God.
It's a lifestyle choice.
You disgust me.
Well, thank you.
You disgust me. You take me out of context. You hurt me with those words.
I'm just wondering, like, it must be fun to be in Seattle where you can go skiing.
Lakes and mountains.
Yeah.
Field and
Starbucks in every
stream.
corner. But aren't you more the exception than the rule of a successful Seattle startup in terms of, like, how can you work only half time and still have something be a winner?
Well, first of all, I'm an animal. Nobody's going to work harder than me, and nobody's going to work harder than the team that I work with. So I think you can work hard anywhere. I agree that there are incredibly talented people in the Bay Area, and the energy is intense, and it feeds off itself.
Because you worked here before you went to Seattle. So.
Right. So I started a company that went public here in the Bay Area. I loved it.
You played in the major leagues.
And then I got sent down to the minors, as you would have it.
I think you sent yourself down to the minors, in a way. I mean, Jays, what do you think? I mean, was that a concern when you invested that they're in Seattle and it isn't as intense?
I think he was concerned about having to fly up.
It was a consideration for us. I mean, I believe that the Bay Area is the best place to build, to kind of start and build a company, consumer technology company. I mean, I think, and with that said, I think if you look at the markets outside of the Bay Area, I mean, Seattle would be on a short list for me of the sort of the next markets that I think are sort of the next most attractive in terms of attracting talent.
Where else? I mean,
yeah, I mean, I think New York. There's interesting stuff happening in New York, so I think New York is actually on the rise.
Tons.
I think it's a relatively short list. I mean, to me, it would be New York, probably LA, Boston for certain types of companies. I think Boston is a great place if you're clean tech. I think it's great. I think it's great for biotech. I think it's a little bit harder, for software businesses or consumer businesses, which is why we actually shifted our headquarters from Boston to out here. I mean, but for me, so what happened for us with the Redfin investment story was kind of interesting. Was the background was we had a thesis that was like at 30,000 feet, which was we've invested in a lot of fast-growing social media companies, led by David Z. And we believe that there were a bunch of very big industries that had not been disrupted yet, really through technology, like education, financial services,
but they're not disrupting the real estate industry, he said.
Oh my gosh, that's a travesty. A travesty.
He said we're getting along, we're working with them. He did say that. He used to say we're disrupting them, but
well, if we dropped an atom bomb on the entire real estate industry and there were no other agents in the industry, who would we do deals with?
Well, I don't know. It'd be a better world, though, wouldn't it? I mean, real estate agents in general.
Did you use a real estate agent?
Lazy. They do. They want to close the deal, but they don't want to do a lot of work to get there. They want it to close itself. They don't. Where the agent, I think, is the most useful is when they're helping you find the house you want to buy. It's actually, you guys don't do much of that. You don't do a lot of look at these houses, but they don't really want to do much of that. Or if they do, that middle part between the offer and the close, they're like just not there. They're like, just close the deal. Like, why do you have to have an inspection? Why do you have to worry about any of this? It just seems to me that it's an industry that needed disrupting.
There's plenty of ways to make the industry better without saying that every real estate agent sucks. I think the industry has problems and the industry screwed up and we can fix it. It's focused on sales, not customer service. It hides the ball and doesn't share the data. It doesn't offer competitive pricing where people can offer different pricing.
And really, you are playing within those rules to some extent. I mean, your stuff is MLS listed. You've had to deal with the National Association of Realtors, right? And different. You ever notice that in their advertisement? They make sure they say Realtor.
I don't know how to pronounce it, but
like Realtor.
All I'm trying to say is that if you want to screw a realtor at the expense of screwing your customer, I can't go that way.
Right.
So when we work out a deal with another real estate agent,
we're giving both sides of the transaction sometimes. Is it rare?
We try not to be, because then it's hard. It's like having a lawyer who represents both sides. You wouldn't want to have a lawyer do the prosecution and the defense. So if we do that, we have two different agents.
Get to the end of the trial much more quickly that way. So
right, and then you're hanging from the gallows much more quickly.
You could be in trouble doing that, yeah. But so you actually try not to do that.
We try not to do it with the same agent. In fact, we won't. Like, one of our beefs with the industry is that dual agency, where you represent both sides, usually sells out one side or the other. And what we'd prefer is to have two different agents representing the best interests of two different parties.
I mean,